HITC Sport, and yeah, that's one of the last ever times I will ever say that. I mean, this is my last week on this channel before switching over to my own football channel, and it just feels weird. I mean, this is how Hugh Hefner's wives must have felt in the days leading up to their divorce. I mean, Christ love, they didn't really want to stay together with someone whose skin was tighter than an elephant's armpit. So in the final few days together, they probably didn't even bother to cook him his dinner, instead just serving him up a microwave sock. But I'm obviously not going to do that here because I'm actually quite sad to be leaving HITC Sport, but you know, excited for the new chapter that's starting next week. Oh, Christ love, the amount of unnecessary attention I'm giving this. I mean, nobody really cares. It's a bit like Dani Minogue announcing to the world that she's bringing out a new perfume. Yeah, you would hear the sound of a tumbleweed, but even that can't be arsed to react. But anyway, there are many things you can rely on once a year. For example, you can rely on Taylor Swift to somehow invade the charts and radio space, despite mostly sounding like a dying koala bear. I mean, you can also rely on Ozzy Osbourne's dentist almost passing out with the stench of cigarettes and dead bats in his mouth. I mean, I'd imagine his breath smells like a vampire's nutsack. But you can also unequivocally rely on PSG to bottle it in the Champions League. I mean, the fact you now paired them up with Mauricio Pochettino. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? Clearly it was woven into the PSG DNA that when withstanding the pressure of a Champions League knockout match, they then splutter and choke. You know, a bit like a toddler trying to chew a hamburger made out of Lego. I'm sorry, but PSG are a billionaire's plaything. Since the takeover in 2011, the club has spent £1.26 billion on player transfers. I mean, their current wage bill would honestly make you feel like choking on your own nose mucus. Honestly, in the suburbs and slums of Paris, you'll find entire families huddling together in a bush, brushing their teeth with their dad's finger and eating dead mice for tea. And still, you've got this out-of-touch company across town offering Kylian Mbappe wages of £800,000 a week, and yet they still can't win the Champions League. Similarly, Pochettino, this man is the wet champagne of European bottlers. I mean, while at Tottenham, he was dumped out of the Europa League by Fiorentina and Borussia Dortmund, losing by a combined 8-2 on aggregate. I mean, despite engaging in a meaningful title race, he still couldn't get Tottenham out of a Champions League group featuring Monaco, CSK Moscow and Bayer Leverkusen, before being dumped out of the Europa League by Ghent. I mean, the following season, great, they smashed Real Madrid 3-1 at home, they qualified from the group, finally turning a corner, right? No, you then get eaten alive by Juventus. Even Giorgio Chiellini admitted to the world that you had the mental strength of a sausage roll. He was openly laughing at you, basically calling you football's answer to Joe Weller. It's just embarrassing. Finally in 2019 it clicks, right? You scrape yourself out of Group B, somehow squeeze past both Man City and Ajax. Although, let's be honest, you were 3-0 down on aggregate in a Champions League semi-final to a team from Holland. You were the width of a meerkat's nostril away from being one of the biggest bottle jobs in European sport. And then under the weight and pressure of a Champions League final, you concede a penalty after 54 seconds. What would you call that? Before the year was out, Pochettino was watching his goalkeeper concede 7 on his own turf in a single Champions League match, with a former Arsenal misfit scoring 4. That is atrocious. And now, I just don't understand this. You had nicked a last-minute win over Real Madrid in the first leg. You had crucially kept a clean sheet, and yet here, there was no fear of being overrun by the occasion. The PSG dream front three was dancing around Real Madrid defenders in the box. Kylian Mbappe put you 1-0 up. He also scored 2 disallowed goals, looking every inch the second coming of Thierry Henry when he grilled Real Madrid for lunch at the Bernabeu. Pochettino was already licking his lips. I mean, he got from coaching like Sir Ryan Mason and Harry Winks to now coaching the most competent front three the sport has ever seen, and surely dumping out the biggest club in world football in the last 16, right? But no, I'm sorry, what happened in that second half? Unforgivable. PSG in the Champions League knockout rounds, honestly, it's like sticking a snowman in the sun. I mean, look at this, 60 minutes played, just half an hour left and you're 2-0 up in aggregate. Instead, Tavares Mendes then chooses to back pass to his goalkeeper from here. I mean, if he just put the ball out for a throw-in, they'd have won the match. Listen, I'm not blaming him, because Gianluigi Donnarumma was in the running for the goddamn Ballon d'Or. You should feel comfortable passing the ball back to him, in the same way you should trust your babysitter not to breastfeed the cat on the couch. Gianluigi, how do you manage to mess this up? Thank Christ you didn't make this mistake as an AC Milan player, because Christ above, those fans have been making him cry since he was 18 years of age. I mean, those Milanistas, clearly they just enjoy bullying children. I mean, I hope Justin Bieber, when he was doing his European tour as a child, I hope he never performed at the San Siro. Or again, they'd have probably just spent the evening chucking bricks at the stage. But lads, if Donnarumma did this in an AC Milan shirt, then again, the fella would probably be leaving the stadium in a coffin. He takes a touch and suddenly has a charging Karim Benzema hurtling towards him like a train. I mean, this isn't just any striker running at you. It's someone who was recently given a 1-year suspended prison sentence. Honestly, I know he's a world-class footballer, an utter beast of a centre forward, one of the best players to ever live. But let's be honest, he is a scary man. I mean, let's be real. If he did go to jail now, yeah, he'd be treated as a celebrity. But if he wasn't famous, he looks like the type of prison cellmate who'd probably file down the toilet bowl so he could decapitate his bunkmate in his sleep, just for a laugh. But honestly, a quick word on Benzema. Unbelievable footballer. This man came to Real Madrid in 2009. You know, a club who have a revolving door policy of centre forwards. If you told him that he would still be starting for this club 13 years later, it's insane. Sir Alex Ferguson and Manchester United tried so hard to sign Karim Benzema. They didn't get him, and so signed Michael Owen instead. I mean, but can you imagine if this man had wound up at Old Trafford? He would have a bigger legacy than Cantona. I mean, he scored more goals for Real Madrid than Alfredo Di Stefano. He is the 3rd highest goal scorer in the history of the club. He is ridiculous. But anyway, back to the mistake. Gianluigi, just kick it away. Get rid of it. Instead, don't do what we were all taught not to do. 8-7. Do not pass the ball across the box. It gets picked up by Vinicius Jr., who passes to Benzema, who for some reason was being marked by the ghost of Christmas past. 1-1. Cue the meltdown. The entire PSG defense suddenly played like nervous schoolboys, demonstrating the decision-making of a pack of brain-damaged squirrels. 10 minutes later, both Vinicius and Luka Modric carved your defense and set Benzema up for his 2nd goal. Okay, not ideal, but fine. PSG, just get the game to extra time. No more silly mistakes. 12 seconds later, it's in the back of the net again for a Benzema hat-trick. What? 12 seconds. What is this? What is this utter brand of cat milk defending? In times of a crisis, you need a leader to step forward, right? But considering that PSG brainlessly chucked Thiago Silva in a bin 2 years ago, and the fact that Sergio Ramos is nothing more than a Paris cheerleader, then that needs to come from the boss, right? Instead, Poch just sits in his chair, instead looking about as inspiring as Susan Boyle. I'm sorry, Poch, do something. Anything. Show your managerial expertise. Don't just sulk in a chair. First of all, Manchester United are salivating over Pochettino right now. Why? Apparently this man is the answer. Again, wake up. Yeah, you can fool yourself into thinking that he's an elite coach, but he's also a manager who's been sacked by Tottenham. I mean, usually football coaches sacked by Spurs don't usually wind up getting the biggest jobs in football. Usually it's just gigs at Hamburg, QPR, Zenit St. Petersburg, Aston Villa, or even just Roma. Pochettino took the PSG job nearly 18 months ago. I'm gonna say this, a League One title race should not be a thing. Just like a unicorn's knob, that just should not exist. No, I'm sorry, but PSG are light years ahead of everyone else in that league in terms of financial resource. To a laughable degree, there should be no competition. I mean, look at the league table. The team directly behind PSG in Ligue 1 is Nice. You know, some club with Patrick Kluivert's wet wipe of a son on the wing. You know, Holland's answer to Tom Ince. And their captain, yes, captained by Dante. You know, that Brazilian cauliflower who mostly was Bayern Munich's answer to Titus Bramble? Yeah, he's 38 now. I mean, last season, Lille had a centre-half captain of the same age. Clearly, Christophe Gaultier just has a fetish for nearly 40-year-old centre-backs, despite them all clearly having the pace of a toothpick. But lads, last season, Lille, they lost to Celtic in Europe, and yet still pipped PSG to the title. We talk about the Leicester City miracle. For PSG, this is the opposite of that. Poch, what is your secret? How? How did you manage to not win the league with Neymar and Mbappe up front? I'm not even mad, I'm intrigued at the level of this ineptitude. PSG sacked a managerial brain like Thomas Tuchel for Pochettino. Does anyone think that was a clever idea? Anyone? I know PSG are going to win the league with ease this season, but still, not only should there not be a title race in France, but PSG have no excuse. They should win every game of football in that league. They should win every season with a maximum of 114 points. At the very least, they should be Ligue 1's answer to the Invincibles every year. Every every season, blowing teams out of the water by 5 goals every week. Instead, this season, you've lost to 4 French teams. You failed to win 8 games in Ligue 1 and were knocked out of the Coupe de France at home to Nice. You've got Neymar and Messi and Mbappe, and yet scored 56 goals in 27 matches. On average, that's just 2 goals a game. Messi was supposed to have the golden boot sewn up by March, right? Instead, Poch, you've helped him to score 2 Ligue 1 goals. What is this management? What is the obsession with this man? Yeah, I know he created an exciting Tottenham team, but really, that team was 5 years ago now. Reaching the Champions League final in 2019 sort of papered over all the cracks from that calendar year, but from February 23rd to November 19th when he was sacked, Tottenham picked up 27 points from a possible 72. Yeah, he reached the final in 2019, yes, but he also lost 5 Champions League matches during that run. Do you really want to hire a guy who lost a Champions League match at home 7-2? 7-2! At home? That doesn't get talked about enough. 7-2. 7! I know Jurgen Klopp also lost 7-2 to a club who once won the Champions League, but he also won the Premier League. I think he's got enough credit in the bank for a freak result every now and then, but Poch, what has he actually won? Because all I can see in his trophy cabinet is just one limp French medal and an empty box of ready break. Both Pochettino and Erik ten Hag are the front runners for the Manchester United job, right? Although some people are saying that Manchester United should now try and poach Thomas Tuchel. I mean, if that happens, I'll bite a chunk of skin off my own thigh. When was the last time Manchester United poached any manager out of a job? Nah, they were all free agents. They haven't actually gone and got a manager out of his contract since 1986. And even then, all they had to do was just wrestle with the lawyers of Aberdeen. You really think they're going to try and deal with Chelsea FC? They've only ever signed 2 footballers from Chelsea in the last 40 years. And even then, they were shook down for the best part of 80 million quid. But why don't Man United ever just poach managers from their contracts? Instead, you just scour the free agent market. You know, the type of clients who actually reside in that list? Either somebody nobody else will touch, or someone who's just been sacked. And no, Ollie doesn't count. Because trying to get him out of a Norwegian minnow-like mold, it's like trying to get your granny out of the local nursing home. I mean, you just have to sign some forms. Very straightforward. You don't exactly have to bribe a nurse. Pochettino is not the answer. This man who was given world-class tools at Tottenham, let's not act like he wasn't, and yet still finished in the league behind the likes of Claudio Ranieri, Maurizio Sarri, and apparently past at Arsene Wenger. What Manchester United need right now is a trophy winner. I mean, here's a list of the standard of managerial greats who've dumped Pochettino out of cup competitions. Right, Vincenzo Montella, Nigel Pearson, Alan Pardew, Heinz van Hosrebroek, Slaven Bilic, Roy Hodgson, and John McGreal. Yes, he went out of the League Cup to Colchester. I mean, what? This is a manager who's dumped out of 2 cup competitions by Sunderland in the same season. And that's the future manager of Manchester United. Please, I can't be the only one stifling vomit in my tonsils. This is the Argentine Brendan Rodgers. A brilliant coach, but someone who belongs at Leicester or an Aston Villa. You know, they create exciting, free-flowing teams, but he's not cut out to manage at the top level. I mean, once he's inevitably sacked at PSG, I think a return to England makes sense, yes, but not Manchester United. I know this sounds mental, but if I was West Ham, I would look to make the next step in the summer. Yeah, I know it's harsh dumping David Moyes, but trust me, soon everyone will very quickly realize that actually, oh yeah, they've only won 6 of the last 17 Premier League matches, and once they get absolutely slapped by Sevilla, I think people will start to realize maybe they need to move on. Pochettino is the logical next step to build an exciting, fresh team. Honestly, next coach of West Ham, yes, but Manchester United? Christ above, no. Anyway, that's what it is. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. What do you make of the PSG bottle job? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. As always, I'll talk to you in a while.